Good evening. I'd like to call the Community Services Committee meeting of November 25th, 2025 to order. Niagara Region and Grimsby are situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including Mississauga of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality of Niagara and the town of Grimsby stands with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest? Okay, Councillor DeFlavio.
Thank you, Chair. I filled out the paperwork and I am declaring a non-pecuniary interest in the community project grant program 2025 recipient part of the meeting. I'm involved in Grimsby Basketball Association, and so I won't participate in any conversation or the vote on that.
Great, thank you. That's noted. And Member Laird?
Same report for me as well. I'm a member of the First North Grimsby Scouting Group that was an applicant for the grant program.
Great, thank you. Can I get a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda? Moved by Member Brabant, seconded by Councillor Howe. Resolved that the agenda for the November 25th, 2025 Community Services Committee meeting be approved. All in favor? Okay, and that's carried. Can I get a mover and a seconder to receive the previous meeting minutes? Moved by Member Member Laird, seconded by Councillor DeFlavio. Resolved that the following minutes be received. Community Services Committee, October 28th, 2025. Grimsby Santa Claus Parade Committee, November 10th, 2025. Grimsby Green Advisory Committee, November 13th, 2025. Age Friendly Advisory Committee, November 18th, 2025. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. And tonight we have a delegation from Adrian Brown and Leanne Wallace from the Grimsby Seniors Club Advisory Committee. Adrian and Leanne, if you could please come up to the podium. I think you just need to press the microphone there. Great.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Leanne Wallace, and it's a great pleasure to meet with you this evening because we have some very exciting news that really is, well, it's near and dear to us. It is the survey results from the 55 plus program survey that was recently done in the spring, summer. We have the results. It was done through Let's Talk Grimsby, and we have the results. We're very excited to share tonight. One thing that I think we'll do when we start is to just let everyone know who is the Grimsby Seniors Club. So taken right from the terms of reference, the Grimsby Seniors Club Advisory Committee is a program of the Town of Grimsby's Community Services Department. The committee advises on the operation of club programs and with the town staff leads the planning and delivery of the Grimsby Seniors Club special events.
And we are now 450 members. I'm Adrian Brown, by the way. Thank you. Nice to be here. So we are 450 members and growing each month, and we have finally surpassed our pre-COVID numbers. Go ahead, dear.
Okay. So the objectives of the club, there's four main objectives. To provide recreational gathering place for 55 plus population in the town of Grimsby, to foster new friendships and develop new interests among members, to provide social functions and recreation activities for members, and to provide opportunities for members to serve the community and assist in the local seniors programs.
And you may or may not know that there are two types of programs that go on at the Livingston Center. There's the town-based exercise-based programs that have paid instructors, and our 17 senior club programs are organized and run by activity leader volunteers.
So we'd like to let you know what the Grimsby Seniors Club Advisory Committee has been working on. There is an action list. It's been in the works for 2 years. We've categorized it basically reassessment. So that's where the survey comes in, so that we can assess what the programs are, the satisfaction level, and also to work on future planning. Combating loneliness is also a big area, and so some of the programs that we're working on, we're exploring a Sing Well program, a music program. We are embarking on social prescribing, and we were able to do that with the help of an organization called Links to Wellbeing. And Krista was very resourceful to get funding for that. We're also participating with and partnering with a program called AYS, At Your Service, Senior Center Without Walls. So it's a virtual programming that all members of the Grimsby Seniors Club can participate in from the comfort of their own home if they wish. And that was launched in May. So we're also assessing the usage and exploring better ways that we can promote that. Other areas of the club is governance. So we've got an orientation binder that we have for members of the advisory committee that includes terms of reference, volunteer handbook, the member list, and it will be left with eventually the clerk so that everyone has access to the information. We have an annual calendar, and in your agenda, with our presentation information, there's just a schedule of activities that the advisory committee works on. And just to highlight over the year, there's luncheons, there's meetings, there are publications like the newsletter, the leisure guides. So it's a very structured program that we follow, and it works. And so communication, we plan to grow membership online from current 60% of our members receive emails, and we want to grow that to 80%. So there's a small subcommittee working on ways that we can do that. And finally, modernization is a very important thing for us to work towards with the transitioning from the Livingston Activity Center to the new Peach King Center. So in summary, we've worked on 40 action items that have been completed in the last few years. So that brings us to the survey. So we're not going to go line by line. There were a total of 22 questions on the 55+ program survey. We're just going to speak to the highlights, and if you have questions, then we're very happy to answer them. But initially, the survey was an idea that the advisory committee thought we could survey members to find out what topics of interest for one of the program speaker series. If we survey the members, maybe we'll get a better turnout at this particular program. But then when we got together, we realized there's a much broader areas of programming that if we're going to get the attention of members to fill out the survey, we might as well ask them a whole bunch of other questions. And so that's really how the program, the survey evolved. Some of the highlights, there were 434 respondents, so 434 surveys were completed. The majority, 86%, were completed by Grimsby residents, but a significant portion were also non-residents that expressed an interest in the Grimsby Seniors Club, and they were from Lincoln, West Lincoln, and Winona Stony Creek. Interestingly, 47%, the majority of people that completed the survey, are aged 55 to 64, and only 32 of them are club members. So key reasons for participation include social engagement, luncheons, while non-members cite a lack of awareness as the primary barrier of joining the club and participating in the programs. Interest in rebranding was noted, with 37% favoring Active Living Center as a new name, and we'll speak to that shortly. In your package, we've just highlighted some of the questions, 3 in particular, that speak to the barriers to participate. Again, 59% are not aware of the club and the programs. So that's a big opportunity for us in our work plan going forward. Branding and naming, 37%. Like the name Active Living Center, and desired programs for future planning. The majority want more trips and outings. The walking programs closely behind that. Luncheons, dance theater, and coffee socials were amongst the top 5.
And the last 2 questions were required of a written response. Initially, the purpose was to see what issues and speakers we could address, and that was the 21st question. We had 84 written responses for that, and they're all listed here in categories. Health and wellness was by far the most popular, 27 mentions. Technology and digital skills, and you'll see listed there what comments referred to. Finance and retirement planning, local and regional topics, lifestyle and hobbies. We were surprised about authors, artists, and musicians, and even if we don't go down that route, there's plenty in town to refer people to. Safety and fraud prevention, which we have to do pretty regularly because they're keeping ahead of us, and it's harder and harder to protect ourselves about that. Community and civic updates, and inspirational, motivational speakers. We have compiled over 60 speaker contacts covering that many topics just from our active living fairs, our own, and we have visited others and made contacts. So we have compiled that list, and our Olga, who organizes the speakers, will be very busy next year. And then the second question was for suggestions or comments for improvement. There was 80 written responses there. Program and activity suggestions were the highest, more diverse, wider range of activities, expanding learning opportunities, improved communication and outreach, facility enhancements, well, that's coming, and evening or flexible scheduling. That pops up in different ways in the survey as well, but even in just speaking with our membership, that there are a number of working seniors out there, and there's nothing in the evenings for them, or weekends. So that's something we'll be looking at. And intergenerational and community connections, there's lots of opportunities there. We have our 17 programs, and some of them have done dual specific feature for inviting children into that program for one session, and that went over well. So that's that one. And in closing, we do hope to post the results in the original 55 program survey on Let's Talk Grimsby. We noticed that a lot of these surveys, and I'm sure community notices it, People take the time to complete the survey, but never ever hear about the results. So we're hoping to get that up there as well. And following a review of the survey findings, the Grimsby Senior Club Advisory Committee unanimously agreed by motion to change the club's name to 55 Plus Active Living Club when programs and activities transition to the new facility next year. So that's a big change. And the recommendations include increased awareness of club programs, offering more flexible payment options, rebranding for greater inclusivity, and expanding social and physical activities at the Peach King Center. I'm doing all your parts.
That's okay.
Overall, the initial concerns about changing venues have shifted towards an openness to new opportunities and possibilities. So that's been a real plus. And we're happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your delegation, ladies. Do we have any questions from the committee? Councillor DeFlavio?
Thank you, Chair, through you. Thank you for all the information you provided. I'm really happy to hear about the openness to the Peach King Center expansion, because what we've always wanted to do is create a true community center at the Peach King Center, and by including every group in Grimsby, that's kind of the goal. So my questions are related to some of the things that you mentioned in your presentation. So you talked about artists, musicians, and authors being one of the things in the survey that comes up frequently. Has there any thought been given to partnering with, the museums or the art gallery and library, and kind of finding a synergy between your group and those groups in the?
All of those organizations have been speakers, but I think we need some ongoing communication. So add it to our calendar, into our newsletter, et cetera, so that people will go to the library when there's speakers, or the museums, because they all have speakers of their own as well. So we're hoping to kind of coordinate that, so we're not in competition. We can just refer to each other's.
Yeah, I love that idea, and we're just having a discussion. If there was something that the town can do to help facilitate that combination between those groups, we want people using the library, we want people using the art gallery, we want people going to the museum. And so that brings me to my next question. Is there any kind of volunteer coordinator or volunteer group within your group that can help coordinate volunteers within the community? Because for a long period of time, 55 plus, or people who were retired, and it used to be when I first got elected to council, I was a long way away from that, but I'm a year away from that now, so I'm starting to think about it myself. 55 is next year for me, so it's coming soon to my house. Do you have a volunteer coordinator? Because seniors for a long period of time made up a large part of our volunteer community, or people who were retired made up a large part of that community. And we lost a lot of that during COVID, and it would be great if we could re-engage people in the community and re-engage them in the GBF and all the other organizations within town that need volunteers. Is that something that's happening behind the scenes that we can help promote?
So yes, it's actually part of our work plan, and I would say that the program for social prescribing is going to be that program that's going to launch the volunteer coordinator. We haven't quite figured that part out. We're working with Krista. We have a subcommittee to organize that program, but that program will require a significant amount of volunteer hours and commitment. But having said that, there are 17 volunteers that run programs already at the senior center, and we're very, very fortunate to have dedicated staff that assist when we need. They're working and doing all the other aspects of their job description, but they do help us. But as we grow, we know that there is a need to formalize the volunteers. The other thing I'd just like to speak to your first question as well. One of the things in our work plan is a desire, and maybe somehow the town of Grimsby can assist us. we want to have some kind of a catalog or a schedule of all of the types of organizations, committees that have programs, because we're overlapping. We know that we are doing that. And so there is a commitment from the advisory group that we want to connect with other groups. The GBF, we did that actually with social prescribing, because they have that program already in place with their wellness group. But with the 55 plus, we're going to be a niche because it will be for older adults, not the general population in Grimsby. So thank you for your comments and ideas. We are very seriously trying to put that all in a work plan. It's all very important.
Terrific. Last thing through you, Chair, is you mentioned 434 surveys completed, which is remarkable. I mean, I don't think we've ever had a town of Grimsby survey that had 434 people. So I don't know how that happened, but let's try and make that happen more frequently. When you have that many people engaged, and I know that you said, I think it was 34 were actually members of your group or something like that, but when you have that many people engaged, I see a business opportunity as well. So I don't know if you've thought about partnering with the Downtown BIA or the Chamber of Commerce and kind of doing, because you talked about coffee events and things like that, doing things in partnership with them where you could promote a business and promote your clubs at the same time. It seems like a really good opportunity to bring those things together. So we talk about economic development all the time. We have people in town that have money, that can spend that money and want to get together and want a place to get together. It seems like a perfect opportunity to do that. So is that something that you've thought about or you're already doing?
To the table at our next meeting, yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Councillor Cristangi?
Thank you. Through Chair, I don't really have any questions, but just some comments. This is fantastic information, and congratulations on all your hard work. I think you've uncovered a lot of really important information that will really help you go forward. What I'd love to see, and I know that you're probably planning this, is perhaps some more promotion of what is offered and when it's offered, and even almost showing what's offered to sort of break the stigma of what people think it might be. I've gone to the Active Living Fair and it was absolutely phenomenal. And there were things there that you might not realize are there that are very important for a lot of people in the community, but also just like, even with the name change, I think it's a great opportunity in moving into the new facility to say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, these are the type of things that you can expect. And yeah, and getting the events out. I think the town of Grimsby is doing a newsletter now they're working on, so maybe it's even getting some of those events in there to say, hey, this is what's offered, this is going on. Because I look at your calendar, I didn't know you had all that, and I think, wow, you guys are incredibly busy. So congratulations for everything fantastic that you're doing, and we really want to get the community, the information out to the community so they can take advantage of all the hard work that you're doing.
You speak to a much larger issue for us is communication, because we can do all the work we want, but if all of those people that are unaware that we exist and that the programs exist, and one key factor would be more space on the grimsby.ca and more direction. So I was looking earlier this morning at what's up there, and it's very confusing and fragmented. Looking at how the art gallery, GPAG presence, it's been much more defined. So that would be a good model for us, for the senior club. Thank you.
Might be a great opportunity for that intergenerational relationship as well, to maybe get some different generations with the tech skills to not only teach you, but help with the promo.
I had a few comments and questions as well. First, I just wanted to also thank you for all of your hard work. I can't believe how much you are doing, and your involvement with some of the regional initiatives are great too. I love that. And one thing that I'm really getting is the fact that you are so open and you're asking questions about what people want. You're not just imposing it on them. It's, figuring out what people want and then you're inviting them in, which I think speaks to the growth, right? So that's wonderful. And I would say it's a testament to whatever your committee is doing. So that's great. As far as the name change, I think it's wonderful. 55 Active Living Club is great because I know when I had spoken with the gentleman before, he had said, it sounds like an old person's club, right? And that's those kind of what the words were, right? So here it's, it's a lively, it's not even an age thing. It's just people are moving and they're active and social, which I think is great and will, kind of entice more people to join. So I think that's a smart move. With your combating loneliness, I think that's wonderful, and I think that's something that we really need in the community. Have you heard of any ways that we can bring people that are maybe, widowed or alone, how we would get them to any seniors, active living clubs, programs?
One thing that we have discussed just briefly is now that we have 450 members, they all have friends their own age and older, and they could very well be aware of who really needs the socialization. So we will use that network. But also with social prescribing, we will be partnering with first responders, help me here, physio, pharmacies, health centers, any kind of health professional. For referrals as well. There's a whole process there, and physicians. And we have a retired physician on our subcommittee, and that's helpful. A couple of nurses. So we're hoping to find out. You need that networking, those contacts, and we have had our first referral, which was quite exciting. So we're getting there. Yeah.
Also, to add to that, the social isolation piece is going to be highlighted in April. Is that right? So from a broader perspective outside of the town of Grimsby, we're also represented throughout Niagara region. So I sit as the primary contact for the town of Grimsby with the Niagara Older Adult Alliance. And the town of Grimsby will be hosting that group of 12 municipalities. There's Lori. We were in Niagara Falls early November at a similar conference. So we'll be able to show off the new facility, but Krista is working very hard to secure speakers for that conference, and she has an expert on social isolation that will get more and more information.
That's excellent. I think using those networks is a great way to bring people in as well. So with the survey, you had mentioned that 47% that they were non-members, 55 to 64. Would you say that's the main demographic of the members that you currently have? Like what is, do we know that? We don't have any of that information, or we can't share that, or?
We have about 10 90-year-olds. But we have, in terms of with the growth, we are seeing a younger demographic. Yeah. I run the watercolor, beginner watercolor, and I would say I have more in that group than the older group. Yeah.
And I've seen your beautiful watercolor paintings. I was going to mention that, so thank you. Beautiful. Okay, so if there is a breakdown that somebody could provide, I would just, for my own interest, I would like to know what the membership is. And then the last thing you had talked about, the children's as well, and this kind of relates to Councillor DeFlavio's comments as well. I think collaboration with community services to find out about events that we're having, that maybe people would bring their grandchildren or some of the, younger family members. That would be great. And with community services, the events, or the library as well. They have lots going on. So another collaboration piece. So again, thank you very much. Thank you. All right. All right. Can I get a mover and a seconder to receive the delegation? Moved by Councillor Flavio, seconded by Member Laird. Resolved that the delegation from the Grimsby Seniors Club Advisory Committee regarding an overview of their activities in 2025 and an analysis of the results of the town's 55-plus program survey be received for information. All in favor? Okay, and that is carried. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get the Grimsby Museum Information Report for November 2025 on the floor for discussion? Moved by Member Brabant, seconded by Councillor Korstanji. And Sarah, if you can please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Janet's unable to be here this evening, so I'll just run through her report for her. So things are progressing well at the museum. They have Fantasy of Trees on right now. If you haven't had a chance to stop in, please do. It's on until December the 7th. They've had a wreath-making workshop. They also have a Christmas winter market that's coming up. That was quite successful last year as well. They are planning some museum talk events in 2026, in the early part of 2026. Again, quite successful for them last year. I believe they sold them out and even sold out a second one. And they're already talking about March break planning, which is interesting. The Glam Gala, I'm going to not get into because Sylvia is with us this evening from the Art Gallery, so she's going to cover that as part of her update for you. And one thing I just wanted to note in here is it does speak to the Museum Foundation repairs. We have decided to push that work out to be done in the spring. It's just going to be a far easier time for us to complete that work, a little less messy and a little quicker to do. So that will be occurring now in the spring. And then just lastly, the strategic plan, we have closed that RFP. We're just doing the evaluations now. So that work will be getting underway very soon and give us a new culture plan for the Art Gallery and also for the museum for the upcoming 5 years starting in 2026.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee? No. All right. Resolve that report DCS 2545, Grimsby Museum Information Report, November 2025, dated November 25th, 2025, be received for information. All in favor? That's carried. There are no consent reports tonight. And our first discussion report tonight is DCS 2546, Gymnasium Allocation Policy Approval. Can I have a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Moved by Councillor Korstanji, seconded by Member Breather. Sorry, where am I here? Okay. Where am I here? Sorry, I'm rereading the same things. Sarah, can you please go ahead?
Thank you, Chair. I'll kick it off, and then Trevor's going to walk you through some more of it. So we do have an ice allocation policy. We also have a sports allocation policy. It really just gives us guidance in terms of how we do those allocations, which usually comes most into play when there is high demand for these facilities. And we are expecting some really good demand coming out of the gymnasium, even in the conversations we've had. So this is a new policy. A lot of work was done to really do some benchmarking, but also look at our other complementary policies, and eventually those policies will also be updated to align further with this one. So Trevor, if you want to just walk through a few of the details, that'd be great.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so this policy was intended to kind of provide the same type of framework that we have for our existing ice and sports fields. Now that we will have 2 brand new gymnasiums that we get to allocate, which is very exciting. So we really use these allocation policies. They're really your best friend when you need them, and that's because we do have a lot of interest. I can tell you right now, even from our expression of interest that we did with community users, there is a lot of interest in this facility and in the two gymnasiums in particular. And this really provides a framework where all of our different community users know what the expectations are if you want to be allocated space, to make sure that there's equity in the way that we allocate them, and that it's predictable so that our organizations can plan and know what they have access to when they're opening up their membership and establishing their budgets, that type of thing. So in developing this policy, we looked at a number of different things. Holly from our team who's here did a ton of work looking at comparable policies across Ontario, but also looking at our existing policies and even just the experiences we've had with our users over the years and trying to just, anticipate sometimes some of the challenges that we have when we're managing these community spaces. So the allocation priority that we've set begins with town programming. It's followed by youth community sport organizations, then adult community sport organizations, local schools, local nonprofit groups, resident commercial programs, and finally non-resident commercial users. So that's kind of the framework when we're working with the priority of all the different groups that we tend to interact with when we're looking at major allocation of space. One of the big changes that's in this policy was enhanced governance requirements for our community users. And there's quite a lot of detail that we went into. We did quite a bit of work to kind of thread the needle, because I think the challenge here is you don't want to ask for too much in a way that you're asking too much of your local organizations and perhaps prohibit them from participating. But we also know that these organizations are benefiting from ultimately subsidized rates and subsidized facilities, and we want to make sure that they are following good governance practices with their membership and with the participants who ultimately participate in that program. One thing we've also realized over kind of the course of the last number of years too is good governance means good longevity of our community organizations. So sometimes these things can be a lot of work for our community organizations, but it also ensures that they are being transparent to their membership, and also means that they are going to be stable to continue offering that important program they do in the community and ongoing. So in terms of how we're implementing, we will be doing a bit of a transitional approach. We are mid-season for a lot of our winter. A lot of our groups fall into kind of two categories: fall, winter, and spring, summer. Most sports fall into one of those two categories. So we're kind of mid-fall, winter season. So we'll be doing kind of like an interim allocation for this first period when we get going. And then we'll do a fresh allocation call in the spring. And then our first full fall, winter allocation will begin for 26-27. So there's no direct financial impact. The rates and fees that apply to the users in this policy were approved as part of the rates and fees study, and we'll go through budget. But really, what's important about this is it allows us also to have a framework to drive facility utilization. So one of the really big goals that we have, not just this facility, but all of our facilities, is to maximize their use. So obviously there's a revenue component, but there's also a community use component. We want large blocks of time. We want that facility, when you walk in there, to be utilized as much as humanly possible. And this is a framework that helps us kind of massage people into those blocks so that we're getting the most utilization and we don't have, dead time late in the evenings or early mornings, and we're being flexible and responsive to what our community needs. We did circulate this policy for feedback from all of our users who expressed interest in the gymnasium. Nothing of real concern. I think what I always hear from our community organizations is that, especially on the governance front, which is where we probably had the most feedback, is everybody wants to do those things. I think all of our community users want to have good governance and they care about it, but it also takes time and it takes resources. So one of the things that we're looking at as a team is, hosting a workshop, getting resources online so that our community organizations have, sample policies and, approved frameworks that exist, not just that we can provide, that provide just in the municipal space and the nonprofit space to say, hey, if you want to have a stronger constitution or good bylaws or conflict resolution, those tools are out there. How can we connect these organizations to them so that they have that stronger governance that we're asking for in this policy? So I know the policy is a little dry, but here to answer any questions anybody has. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, I have a few. So first off, is this just related to gymnasium okay, do we have a policy in place for allocation for ice and any of the other, like the fields?
Through you, Chair. Yes, so we have existing ice and sports field policies. They are old and in our need of update. So this will kind of serve as a new framework for updates to those policies, like for instance, those governance requirements and some of the language in this policy is not in the present ice policy and the sports field policy. So our intention in the new year will to be take those, get feedback from those users. We just unfortunately didn't have the time to knock this one off with those two other updates in time for the opening of this facility.
Okay, so just before I move on, I'm just going to provide feedback. I know for me, when I was a business owner and I had my fitness boot camp, I couldn't get evening any facility at all for rent. And as a business, you're paying the prime price, and I couldn't get it. And so I would hope that, I'm not doing that anymore, but that there is some kind of availability so that one organization is not getting all of the times allocated. This was a long time ago, and I'm sure we've probably progressed, but just so that there is some availability for, others, rather than it just be, a small group of organizations that basically have access to the gymnasium. Does that make sense? So, yeah, if that's just something that is through this, that would be great. And the other thing is, when we're talking about not-for-profit organizations that we're subsidizing, I'm finding it would be a lot cleaner if we just asked for those financial statements before their booking, rather than trying to chase them or offend by asking for financial statements, so that we can have a look and make sure that it actually is a genuine not-for-profit, if that makes sense. So have we looked at ways of doing this? Like, how are you planning on implementing, or is it going to be an ask?
Through you, Chair. So I think in this case, things are a little bit unique because we're starting with a fresh allocation. So typically, when we're doing our ongoing allocation, you're working with the same groups that you work with most of the time every single year, and you have a relationship and you have some of that information. Because sometimes you might find that an AGM and the release of someone's financials don't line up with the allocation call. Like sometimes the timelines don't always work, don't add up perfectly. So I think for us, it's an ongoing relationship. Right now, what we've committed to and that we put in this policy is that we're asking for a lot that some users haven't maybe had to do before, and we've committed to a 1-year transition. So potentially we are going to get things, even in our initial allocation, that says, hey, you need to beef this up. You shouldn't be operating this way, or here's some adjustments. And it's really more about education than it is about, obviously if somebody meets no criteria and there's major concerns, we're not going to allocate to, but it's more of an education piece to help move people in that direction so that they can meet those requirements. And then once we have that relationship and we're in that 1-year allocation, if we have concerns, and sometimes they come in different ways. They can come from a review of a financial document that we would do, or it could be a community member who comes forward and says, hey, I heard something at a meeting, or I saw something that I didn't like. Can the town have a look? And through this policy, we have the mechanism to request things to say, hey, we need to see the minutes of that, or we want to see, an interim financial statement because we have a concern that we believe is valid. But most of the time, our community organizations, while not perfect, are actually doing a really good job managing these things for the most part.
Okay, Sarah, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. If I can just add, and just to be clear, we will be just asking when things arise. We really, to have the capacity to really review them annually ahead of time is a lot of work. And we do find most of the time, most of them are doing a really good job and manage themselves well within some of the resources, as Trevor said. It just gives us a mechanism if there's concerns or reasons that we think we want to pay attention to. It gives us a chance to work with them. And it's always with the intention of just helping them, because sometimes they can get into a little bit of a spot where they need some help. So really the intention is to help get them back on track and make sure they're delivering the services in a way that is working well for the community.
Yeah, I'd be fine, even if it's just a matter of, first time, get that information, and maybe it's, review it every few years or something, because, governance changes, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be annual, but I think you need to put that out there. Councillor Kristanji?
Thank you, through Chair. So just a quick question, actually 2 questions. I know that there was a process where you were asking for interest of who was interested, and were fees given for all the different, like nonprofit versus not nonprofit? I'm just, because I heard some feedback from nonprofit that they just can't afford it. They're priced right out of it. So I'm not sure if what fee they got. My other question would be if there's going to be open time for the public for like drop-in basketball or something, just for the general public to be able to use the courts.
Through you, Chair. First, yes, we did circulate all of the fees. So a nonprofit group would fall under nonprofit fees. And I think, we did get some feedback. Some say, yes, we can manage it. Some say it's a little steep. The trouble we have is we're kind of competing with the school board. And they can offer things as low as like $5 to $10 an hour, because to them it's just surplus time. It's not part of like a revenue generation component, which is a real struggle because we really can't compete in that component. I would be interested in meeting with the user, because I think sometimes there is the ability that we can share space. Like sometimes we have 2 groups that are doing generally the same thing. Maybe we can do a combination. Maybe we can split the gym in 2. Like, I think there's ways that we can get creative where we're still being fair and applying the same fees to all, but still making sure that there's ways to get people access. So we'd be very interested in having that conversation. Yeah. And then secondly, yes, we will have plenty of drop-in time. So that would fall under like a town program. Typically, you see that kind of like in the early evening, late evening, weekends. So those things will be incorporated to ensure that those who just want to participate in a more informal way still have opportunity.
Okay, resolve that report DCS 2546, gymnasium allocation policy dated November 25th, 2025 be received. And 1, that the Community Services Committee recommend that Council approve the gymnasium allocation policy included in Appendix A. All in favor? And that is carried. Second discussion report is DCS 2548, Peach King Center expansion and renovation project update. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Okay, moved by Councillor Korstanji, seconded by Member Brabant. All right, and Sarah, if you can please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So we're excited in this report to share a couple of updates. One is that we are over 90% complete in construction, and we are anticipating to have that building turned over to us at the end of December, which is really exciting news. One of the other big items that many of you have seen, I'm sure by now, is we have also set a date for opening, which is going to be Saturday, January the 24th. It's really important we establish a date and work to it so we can really start to get into these rental agreements and some of these different pieces. So that is the date that we're working for. One question I've been asked a lot is there a soft opening or a different opening date? And there is not. So we're going with the hard date of saying Saturday, January 24th. It's really hard to do soft opening and not kind of take away the experience of first walking into the building. So that is the date that everything will open, and immediately thereafter the facility will be in full swing. So lots of work to occur between now and then, but the team is really working hard on it. Trevor's going to give you a few other details and updates as we continue along our journey.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, over 90% complete, and it really looks like it. We're really seeing progress it's very clean, which is an experience I haven't had walking over there for most of the project, which is nice to see. So definitely starting to see things taking shape over there, and it is very exciting. So exterior work is mostly complete. Parking lots are done, sidewalks are done, sod has been installed, and all our softscaping, plantings, landscaping. Exterior building signage and a few final things and deficiencies we're working on in the parking lot that have to be tied up. But for the most part, we are all wrapped up on the outside. Interior work, again, also entering final stages. Flooring, millwork, finishing items ongoing. But, painting is complete other than touch-ups. Like all the walls are up, the plumbing fixtures are in. It's really starting to take shape. Mechanical units are being tested. We had our fire alarm verification. Really, the final touches are really getting done presently, which is really nice to see. I'm also pleased to report that our furniture, fixtures, and equipment, FF&E, which has been kind of the last kind of financial purchasing that we need to do on the project, is wrapping up. We were able to finish the procurement for our furniture, so that's all of our furniture, chairs, tables, furniture for different rooms, desks, that type of thing is complete. And we were able to do that procurement through a Canadian company that actually manufactures in Canada and in Toronto as well, which is really great, which was kind of a goal that we had for this purchase. We will also be able to do the same with our fitness equipment. So if anyone's asking you, we're getting all brand new fitness equipment for our new fitness center. And that was also procured through a company that's the seller is based in St. Catharines, and the manufacturer is actually Canadian as well for most of that equipment, which is really great. And there's not too many Canadian manufacturers, so really happy to do that. And both those procurements actually came under our budget target, so we were very happy with those results. As Sarah mentioned, we are we're having our grand opening on January 24th. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, construction. We're really hoping to wrap up in earnest by the end of the year. There will be deficiency work and touch-ups and things that are being done into the new year, but very much, we'll be handed the keys and we'll be in the building and getting things ready for the public for the 24th, which will be our opening celebration, which staff are now working hard on animating for that day. We're really looking at an open house style event, really a way to welcome the community, see what is in the facility. We'll be planning to invite our, different users who we expect to use the space to have information about their programming, our staff there with information about our programming, informal tours, people in the different rooms, just so that you can really get a sense of, what the facility has to offer, explore the different rooms, explore the programming that will take place in those rooms. So as the community is moving through it, they can hopefully maybe make a connection to a program they didn't know about, like having our 55 plus team there and say like, hey, not only are we going to be in this amazing new space, but look at all this amazing programming that we offer that maybe you didn't even know about, and just trying to make those connections as the community also just gets to see just the space itself, which is really nice to move through. So as Sarah mentioned, we are doing a hard opening, but there will still be transition for our programming and for the community's programming as we move into this space. Just some feedback from some of our prospective users and even from our internal staff. It's hard to flip the switch on day one. Some of our users have existing agreements at other facilities. They didn't know until yesterday what the date was going to be for our opening. So while their intention is to move towards us, there's going to be this period of time where people are kind of, either wrapping up programming somewhere else or, 1 foot in each door. So I do think that we will see programming will be occurring immediately, but I think you'll see it kind of roll in over a few weeks or even a few months, depending on what our users are doing. Same thing for our town programming. We've got, fitness classes and our older adult programs, and we can't just pull them over in one day. We have to move equipment. We're actually running programming, so our fitness classes and, older adult programming that's already running isn't stopping because we're opening this facility. So it will take us a little bit of time to keep those things moving without cancellations to get them from the activity center and over to the Peach King. ICE programming will not be affected by those changes. So with the opening of the building, we will be shifting to a new schedule. So previously, the Peach King Center was very much a seasonal operation based on the ICE, which were really the core amenities that we had. So we would run a September to March or April schedule, and then we would move to a condensed schedule over the summer. Our plan is to shift away from that to be a full season operation with an enhanced fitness center and the walking track, the gymnasiums, and all the other programming we can offer. We really feel that the demand for the space will be year round. So our operating hours will move to be 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And that's all week long, except for the holidays that we're closed. Customer service will also be changing. So previously, our customer service team was based out of the Peach King Center. It moved to the Livingston Activity Center when we closed for construction and throughout construction. But they will be returning to the space and will be on site 8:30 a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. daily. Those hours may be adjusted as we kind of get the feel of what the community is looking for. But we expect that to be our general core hours that we're operating at that facility. And that's for, facility rentals, questions people have, registrations for programming, all those types of things are done through our customer service team. So other than that, we're really excited. Again, it's starting to look really good, and the end is near, and we're very much looking forward to welcoming the community to see it on the 24th of January.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? Councillor Korstanji.
Thank you, through Chair. Can we do some specific marketing for the major refrigeration center? In particular, I'm thinking of the accessibility. We really want to bring light to what is accessible, how it's accessible for our community. I think a lot of the time there's barriers for people to go to places because they don't know what's there for them. So I'm thinking specifically like if there's accessible equipment, the walking track, the bathrooms, things like that. And then on the other side, the culturally responsive features that we have, and I think highlighting that for some of the people in the community, of the inclusivity that we've built into that, so that they know that those barriers aren't there as well. And I think some targeted marketing on that will really help to highlight some of the things that we've put in place, but also the barriers that we've removed for people in our community.
Yes, Sarah, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Just one comment one statement that you made. I just wanted to make sure we made it a statement about it as well. So the Major Refrigeration Peach King Center is the name of it as of Saturday, January 24th. So you will just see in the course of the next 2 months a little bit of awkwardness because that is the day it changes, but that question has come up quite a bit, as well as the naming of some of those rooms. So as of that date, that name does change, but you will see us using them a little bit interchangeably until that time, because it is a little bit of a tricky thing. In terms of the asset of the building, we will still refer to it at times as the Peach King Center in terms of a long-term asset, but publicly it will be acknowledged that way on that day. Just wanted to make sure that was clear for everybody.
Thanks for clarifying that, Sarah, because a few times I've had to look back at your information to figure that out. And if you can, because on my social media, I do like to put in the location. So I don't know if that needs to change so that we can put it in to adjust that. So thank you for clarifying that. All right, resolve that report DCS 2548, Peach King Center Expansion and Renovation Project Update dated November 25th, 2025 be received for information. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. And the third discussion report is DCS 2549, Community Project Grant Program 2025 recipients. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Okay, moved by Member Brabant, seconded by Councillor Korstanji. And Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. We've been doing this program for quite a number of years now with great success. When we first started it, we were sometimes really encouraging people to apply. We're now really seeing that change, and we're now seeing the applications exceed the funding we have. So that might be something we bring back for consideration in the future. But it is great to see more groups taking advantage of this and preparing projects that align to this program. There is a panel of staff that review the applications and put forward their recommendation for you this evening, and Trevor's going to walk through that on behalf of Melissa.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah's mentioned this was a really great call. This is the most applications we've ever received since this program started. I believe this is our 4th year of doing applications through this program, and really seeing the community. We've had groups that are now aware of the program, some that maybe were not successful in the past, and for different reasons have now reapplied, knowing the requirements, and are thinking about this program. I think when they're thinking about their programming, which is really great to see some really unique and great community programs that are being supported through this grant. So I will just run through the successful recipients that we have for this year. Because we had so many, we reduced the funding, their requests basically proportionally, so that we could apply funding to all of the successful organizations. So if you had 1,000, you're being proportionally, lowered to 470, or if it was 5,000, it's 2,350. We did have some organizations that did not qualify. Basically, if you had applied for something you had applied for previously, no change in the programming, it's the same scope, we did not fund those organizations. Or sometimes there's a governance issue or something we need to work through. But for the most part, we do our very best to work with our organizations who all have great programming to fund their projects. So we had $470 for Niagara Peninsula Hawk Watch, $470 for Stockings of Love for Seniors, which is such a super cute program that we're really happy to work with them. First North Grimsby Scouting, Grimsby Celebration Choir, Habitat for Humanity, Grimsby Grizzlies Basketball, Grimsby Curling Club, the Volunteer Well, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Niagara, the Fort, and Nellis Manor Heritage House. And again, just such a great list of different organizations that are doing such meaningful programming in our organization, and happy that we were able as a town to support these great initiatives. So available for any questions if anyone has any.
Do we have any questions from the committee? Councillor Cristanchi?
Thank you, through your chair. I'm just curious about Habitat for Humanity because it is a store.
Through the chair. So this one, we did chat with them because we wanted to make sure kind of what the intention was with this program. And it very much was driving, connecting student volunteers to their store. So I understand they are a store, but I believe that they are a charitable organization that is operating that store. And I think what they were hearing, and when we hear the same thing, is that transportation is such a huge barrier for our students. And I think with West Niagara being located a little bit further out of town, getting into kind of Grimsby proper to volunteer has been a barrier. So I think this program was intended to help remove that barrier and get more people engaged, which we thought was worthwhile. We hear that in our MIAC committee about how challenging those transportation barriers can be.
Any other questions? No. All right, resolve that report DCS 2549 Community Project Grant Program 2025 recipients dated November 25th, 2025 be received, and 1, that the Community Services Committee recommend that council approve all proposed projects for the funding amount as recommended by the grant review panel under the conditions of the Community Project Grant Program policy. All in favor? Okay, and that is carried. And the fourth and final discussion report is DCS 2550, Community Services Department Update, November 25th, 2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Moved by Councillor Howe, seconded by Member Breather. And Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll just go through some of these items and happy to take any questions at the end. The Seniors Club update we provided was well covered, I think, in an earlier delegation, so I won't get into that again, other than just to once again say we're excited for the name change that they are embarking upon, because I do think it really opens up some new doors, especially as they move to a new facility. So that's exciting. We are doing some work in Grimsby Beach Park, also in the past has been known as Victoria Terrace Park. There is a little section to the westerly side of the park that was underutilized and is actually part of the parkland. And with some development going on in the area, it sort of became an opportunity that we saw as a really great lookout that doesn't require going down the ramp, so it's far easier to get to. We've been working with the residents in that area, particularly the resident right beside, quite collaboratively, which has been great. To make that a usable space, but also respecting the neighbor's privacy and how that sort of connection exists in the communication. So that will be occurring hopefully later this year if we're able to get that done. We do also have quite a bit of drainage issues occurring down that ramp. The Ward 1 councillors would certainly nod their heads if they were here. So we are working with our Public Works team and some of the residents in that area to address those issues. And once that is done, our plan is to do some improvements further to that area, particularly the ramp. So we are looking at putting in a new pathway going down that ramp. Right now it's gravel and it's quite loose, so it's not very easy to walk along. So we are looking at a few options, particularly looking at a bit of a permeable pavement type of, or permeable stone type of solution that I think will look really, really good in that area. So we're hoping to do that work in the spring. Moving along, happy to report that we have planted 797 trees this year, and most of those trees has been through grant-funded initiatives and partnership initiatives, which is a really great story. And one of our staff just shared where those locations were as well throughout the community. Centennial Park stairs, and I apologize, the photo got shifted down, so it's lower on that page 4, but you can see that Centennial Park stairs have been installed, which was something that actually was partially discussed when we did the wind phone, and we've gotten quite a bit of really positive feedback that they're there. Just makes it easier to walk up and down that stairs area. Grimsby Glows, several of you were there, so you know how successful, once again, that event was, continues to have a really tremendous turnout, which is wonderful. Our town tree lighting was last week on Thursday. I would say it's probably one of the biggest attendances I've seen of that event, which was great to see. The annual Celebration of Lights contest is coming up, so you'll see some promotions about that occurring very soon. And of course, our Grimsby Santa Claus Parade is coming up very soon, Saturday, December 6th. One thing we did want to highlight this year that is a change is we are actually going to work with an external traffic control agency to manage the road closures for us. We're just finding as time goes on, relying upon volunteers, police services, and other resources to carry out that work, especially as there's more and more expectations in terms of how you carry out that work. We are needing to look to external resources to support that, to ensure that the parade is safe. So we were able to do that within our operating budget this year. We'll evaluate it once it's done and then make determinations for next year as to how we proceed. For the remainder of the report, I am going to turn it now over to Sylvia. Sylvia is our new art gallery manager, and we just included some pieces in here so that she can introduce herself and just share a few of the art gallery's activities.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Chair. So for the summer and fall programming, we've brought in over $23,000 to date with 50 scheduled programs, 369 participants in registered programs, and more in community outreach. So as of right now, our annual revenue has been exceeded, and we still have 2 more months left. So we're on track, and our team's doing great there. There will be a call for the Peach King Center mural project. The mural will be installed in the lobby of the center. It's going to be in a highly visible location, so when everybody walks in, they can see it. And it will reflect themes in our community and highlight Grimsby's spirit. Moving on to the Glam Gala that was held November 7th. This is the 3rd annual Glam Gala. As some of you may know, it supports the art gallery, the library, and the museum. We had live music, hors d'oeuvres, silent auction, caricature drawings, live painting, all sorts of activities. The event generated $16,249, which consisted of $6,600 from the silent auction, just over $5,000 for ticket sales, and $4,600 in sponsorships. So we had wonderful community support come out and help us, such as Harmony Jewelers, Sherwin-Williams, and so on. We had Malavar serving wine, so we're very grateful for our community partners for helping us out with this event. The total expenses, I'm glad to say, were below budget. We only ended up spending $6,873, and our budget was $14,000, so well under. We sold 64 tickets, and we had 8 comp tickets, so it was a lovely turnout. Along with the gala, we launched our 50th anniversary book for the art gallery. The book highlights 5 decades of exhibits, programs, community partnerships, and our permanent collection, which houses over 2,500 works and has a history, as the art gallery has a history of supporting artists. So that book is available for purchase in our gift shop. And we just completed this. It's the Mayor's Christmas card contest. So that went out to the youth of Grimsby, and it was an opportunity to sort of win a spot on Mayor Jordan's Christmas greeting card. The winning design will be printed on the official card, and the rest of the applicants will be shown at the art gallery on the community gallery wall. And we have a new exhibition, Field Notes by Stephanie Fortin, which opens actually this Saturday. And Stephanie is a Guelph artist coming in. She uses natural materials such as black walnut, sumac, and rust to create color and texture on reclaimed fabrics. So we encourage you to all come by from 2 till 4 on Saturday for the opening. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the committee? No. This actually might be for Sarah. It just occurred to me that we have the mural. Is that a replacement for the live wall? Are we still doing that, or is this a separate section?
Through your chair, so we did not continue with the live wall, so that is not in the project. But this mural is actually going to go, some of you have seen it, as you go up the staircase, there's a really big wall and a really nice big feature area, so that's where that mural will be placed.
Makes sense, thank you. All right, resolved that report DCS 2550, Community Services Department Information Update, November 25th, 2025, dated November 25th, 2025, be received for information. All in favor? Okay, that is carried. Is there any other business pertaining to the committee? No. All right. So our next meeting of the Community Services Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, January 27th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.